The data is very clear. Sales leaders who coach consistently produce far superior results with their sales teams than those who don't. Well, unfortunately, the data is very clear about something else. Only about 1 in 10 sales leaders coach consistently. Coming up, I'm going to give you 2 very visible clues that you're not coaching. This is Sales Untraining, a very different kind of sales podcast. 3 out of 4 salespeople are failing. They're falling short of their revenue. Why doesn't sales training work? That's what this sales podcast is about. It's your weekly sales strategy guide designed to rewire your sales brain. Welcome to Sales Untraining. I'm Kelly Riggs. It's your weekly sales strategy guide designed to completely rewire your sales brain. And one of the places that we need to rewire is when it comes to coaching, sales leaders who coach. Apparently, very few do that. The data tells us that about 1 in 10 sales managers coaches on a consistent basis. There are others who coach irregularly, and there's a fair majority that don't coach at all. But I think many times there's this confusion about what coaching actually is, what it entails, what kind of things am I doing if I'm coaching. It's one of those generic terms. You know, interestingly enough, my son and I wrote a book called Counter Mentor Leadership, How to Unlock the Potential of the 4-Generation Workplace. And one of the things we talked about in the book is there's no real definition for leadership. In fact, one of the experts out there had actually written a column and said, I realize I've been teaching about leadership for 20 years and I don't actually have a definition, a commonly accepted definition. Listen, at its finest, easiest, most simplistic definition, leadership is influence. That's it. Your ability to influence others. But that's fairly vague and generic and very difficult to talk about. And there's so many aspects of leadership. Well, as it turns out, coaching is like that. Ask people what coaching is. You're going to get a lot of different answers. What I like to do is distinguish between training and coaching. Part of the process of implementing new knowledge, developing new skills, creating behavioral change is to begin with training. And I look at training as never seen this before, don't know anything about it, never been exposed to it. This is something I'm going to get training on. But once I've been exposed and I get training, I've got to actually change behaviors. And that takes time. It takes repetition. It takes, most cases, someone to come alongside and help me. And that's what coaching is. It's taking that fundamental knowledge that you've been exposed to and beginning to mold you and shape you and improve you by pointing out things that need to get better, get different, to change, to work on. That takes a coach. We see it in the sports arena all the time. It's very straightforward. Do coaches train? Sure. Coach as a title can actually imply a lot of things. Coach can be a leader, a trainer, a coach. I mean, they can fulfill a lot of different roles. But we're talking about the specific idea of coaching. And the implication is, sales leader, you are going to come alongside a salesperson and help them improve something very specifically. But I've got a few questions for you. All right, stay with me, because this is another one of these systemic issues that we sort of go, yeah, I get it. Yeah, we need to be coaching, but we never deep dive. We never look at what it entails, what it means. And we certainly never look to see if we're actually doing it and doing it effectively. For example, how can you really expect your sales leaders to be coaches if you never set that expectation for them in the first place? That's one of the challenges that exist. You're a great salesperson. We promote you to sales leader, sales manager, a sales supervisor, a VP sales, who knows? But you've been great at sales, and we say, hey, we need a new sales leader. Are you interested? Well, of course. Of course I am. I get to be in charge. I get to make decisions. I get more pay. I get more visibility to top leadership or company leadership. Certainly, I'm excited about the opportunity. And then you don't say one word about how my role is getting ready to change dramatically. No longer will you be salesperson, a doer, a contributor. Now you will be sales manager, sales leader. And now your role is developing other salespeople, which, by the way, leads me to the definition that I use in training leaders. It's the art and the science of getting things done through other people. Yeah, there's the critical part, through other people. You see, when I was a salesperson, I was getting things done. Now I'm going to lead other salespeople, create a team of salespeople, make the sum of the parts better than just the individuals to make it greater than that. That requires me to work with, develop, train, in some cases, new salespeople, for example, those people so that we can get better. Right? That's what coaching is for. And yet I see very, very few leaders, corporate leaders, businesses who take a salesperson, promote them to sales leader, and say, by the way, your role is changing and our expectations of what you do now are as follows. Doesn't work that way. So, salesperson, by the way, I'm exhibit A of this, top salesperson in the country for a couple of years at an orthopedic company. You want to be a sales manager? Of course I do. So they make me the sales manager. Did they give me any training? No. Did they tell me what my role was going to be and what they were promoting me to do exactly? No. It's just all implied. Come on, Kelly, it's not hard. You're now leading. Well, yeah, time out. Pump the brakes. It may be implied, but that should not be interpreted that it is understood. Because many times, great salespeople make terrible sales managers. They don't have the patience for it. They don't have the coaching skills. They'll step in front of everybody because my way's better. That's why I got promoted. I'm better than you at it. Now, do they say that out loud? Probably not, on occasion, but they're not that arrogant. But that's the mindset. Come on, you've seen it. You've seen it in your organization. Great salespeople oftentimes do not make great sales leaders. If you've not had the expectation created that you will be judged and reviewed based on your ability to identify, acquire, retain, develop top-level sales talent, and here's what that looks like, then why would I expect you to be a coach? So we kind of get started on the wrong foot because there's not even any expectation. But by the way, if all we do is teach product knowledge in our sales training bucket. Oh yes, we provide sales training. Well, they spend a week learning our products and services. Okay, do you need to get trained on products? Of course. Is that all there is to being a great salesperson? Please, not even close. So if I don't provide anything outside of product knowledge, what would I be coaching exactly? Oh, more product knowledge. Well, that's great. And it's not entirely helpful at all. Do you have a defined sales process? If you don't have a defined sales process, what exactly would I be coaching? You don't have a process to follow? I mean, think about it. If you work in operations, you work on a production line or something, there's something you do every time, you do it a certain way. We coach you how to do the incremental steps of that process better and better and better until you master it. No sales process? What am I coaching exactly? Oh, but you have sales kickoff meetings or annual sales meetings where you do some sales training once a year? How can you be coaching specific selling skills if you're not being exposed to them more than once a year and it's only a sales skill? It's nothing in particular. I mean, there are so many specific sales skills, selling skills that are critically important to selling success. Let me just share a few of those with you. For example, those top 5% of salespeople, they are all strong in sales process. They tend to be, according to the data, 2.5 times better than those at the bottom 50%. They're, 2 times better. They're twice as good. Think about it. They are twice as good at sales process. And I'm talking about comparing the top 5% of all salespeople with the bottom half. Oh, shocker, these guys have a sales process and they follow it. Well, that's something that needs to be trained and coached. If we're not talking about consultative selling skills, good discovery, asking good questions, being in the moment, listening to the prospect or customer, creating productive dialogue, if we don't teach that and coach that, well, what's the results? Well, those in the top 5% are 2.4 times better at that skill than those in the bottom 50%. I mean, this is data. This is not my opinion. This is not some great idea. This is based on data from Objective Management Group, and they've surveyed over 2.5 million salespeople. They've got a fairly significant set of data to work with. How about this one? Reaching decision makers? Top 5% of salespeople, they're 3.4 times better at that than those in the bottom 50%. Selling value, twice as good. Qualifying opportunities, 2.4 times better. You get the picture? There are very specific selling skills that the top 5% are really good at, way better than those in the bottom half of the chart. That's what coaching is for, to expose salespeople to these skills and then to repeat them, to create repetition, practice, observation, and direct coaching to improve on those skills. And in doing so, the numbers suggest that those sales leaders who coach consistently create results that can be as much as 25% better than their peers who do not coach. Well, that's great. So we've got to be talking about very, very specific things. And if we don't assess and or prepare sales leaders to do these things, then why would we expect them to coach? I've had this conversation many times with corporate leaders. Well, we don't think our sales leader coaches very well. Why would they? They're always shocked when I ask that question. Why would they? Well, because that's what sales leaders do. Is it in their job description? I mean, not that I like job descriptions, but did you share that? Did you share with them exactly what you're hiring them to do? Did you create success for them and say, this is what successful people do in this role? Were you crystal clear about that? Well, come on, Kelly. I mean, people know that. Well, evidently they don't. Evidently they don't. And one of the first things we need to do is create clarity for the role. Well, coming up next, I'm going to give you those 2 very specific clues that your sales leaders are not doing a good job coaching. I'm Kelly Riggs, host of the Sales Untraining podcast. A couple of quick questions for you. Do you hire salespeople? Is sales turnover far too high in your organization? Do you struggle to find A players for your sales team? Well, these are very common questions, and there is a better way to hire. I'm a partner with Objective Management Group, OMG, and they have been assessing sales candidates for over 30 years. In fact, they've assessed over 2.5 million salespeople. Now, this is a very different type of assessment. First thing out of your mind is it another behavioral assessment? Is it a psychometric tool? Is it a personality quiz? No, nothing like that. It is based on 21 very specific sales competencies. And you need to listen to this. This is crazy. It is 91% predictive of sales performance. That's right, 91% predictive. You can't even make a claim like that without the science behind it. Listen, if you struggle to find the right people, or if you just need a lot more help in the hiring process and making sure you're getting in front of the right people to hire, please email me, kelly@bizlockerroom.com. Oh, by the way, and you can absolutely try it for free, and it has a guarantee. kelly@bizlockerroom.com. Back to the show. Welcome back, Sales and Training. Again, I'm Kelly Riggs, and it is great to have you on board. Hey, I hope that you will like and subscribe to the podcast, but even more important, I hope you'll loop someone else into the conversation. Share the podcast with another sales leader as we continue our discussion, including as many voices as we can, and talking about systemically what is wrong with the process of sales training, with developing salespeople to become top 5% producers. There's a lot wrong, and we're just making so many fundamental systemic mistakes. And I'm sad to say many times it's the way we've always done it. Your favorite excuse on the planet. So what I'm trying to do is bring visibility to the things that can be addressed and changed so that we can improve our opportunities to grow revenue. Well, in this particular episode, we're talking about coaching. This coaching that sales leaders do to help salespeople improve their performance. And I want to give you two very clear clues that you're not coaching at all. The first one is easy. You can see it in the first 2 minutes of an observation of a sales leader. It's when they're simply telling salespeople what to do. They identify an area of need, an area that they need to improve. And many times it sounds like this, these magic words. You need to ... You need to work on this. You need to get better at that. You need to spend more time doing these things. Well, Kelly, but isn't that coaching? No. I mean, it's telling people what to do. In some rare instances, when you've got a really good relationship and it's just an add-on at the end, and I make an observation and say, hey, here's what I see. I think if you do more of this, you're going to get better. If you add this piece to your process, you're going to get better. If you ask this question, you're going to improve. So you need to add those things, do those things differently, of course. Good coaching. But that's typically all that exists with coaching. I see you doing something or not doing something. I say, hey, look, you need to fill in the blank. That's not coaching. Listen, coaching is coming alongside and helping me get better at pieces and parts of something that will help me improve. It's breaking it down into manageable chunks of things that I can work on and I can identify and I can practice. And I'm watching while you do it and helping you get better at it. I'm detailed. I'm specific. I just don't simply issue a directive like the ones I hear all the time. The problem is you just need to ask for the order. You need to be asking for the order. Never mind, they've done a terrible presentation. They're not in front of the decision maker. The opportunity is not a good opportunity to begin with. I mean, there's 5 or 6 major things wrong. But I tell a salesperson, well, your closing rate is only 22%. You need to do a better job of asking for the order. A, you're not helping me get better at it. B, you're just simply telling me what to do, which is really nice because I get to feel like I'm a coach, but I'm not. It's very, very common. I've sat in on lots of one-on-ones between sales leaders and their salespeople, and they do a good job. They have a good conversation, and they end that thing with, well, what you need to do is this, 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 and this. Never mind, they don't know how to do those things well. You realize there's a big difference between telling someone they need to do something if they know how to and are good at it, and they simply have neglected it, or they've fallen off in doing it well, or they've developed a bad habit, between those people and people who just don't know how to do it well. We say, you need to ask better questions. Do they know how? Have you ever exposed them to it? Have you practiced with them? When you simply tell people what to do, and this is critical, they don't think. They don't engage brain. They simply do what you told them to do. But again, they're going to do it at the level that they know how or that they think they know how. That's not coaching. All right? Coaching, extending to clue number 2, includes very specific skills, very specific things to work on. So when I hear a coach talking about generalities like you need to focus, you need to work harder, you need to get better at, you need to get motivated. I mean, just ridiculous things that are supposedly coaching that have nothing to do with specific skills, then that's a pretty clear indicator you're not coaching at all. What are they not doing well? What are they not good at? And I listed a number of things. Do they follow a sales process? Oh, you have one? Are they following it specifically with every opportunity? Are you double checking? Are you coming alongside? Are they doing discovery poorly? Are they doing pre-call planning poorly? Are they not doing good presentations because they didn't get good information in discovery, or they're not converting that to a good presentation? Do you have the pieces and parts of the sales process identified, mapped out, that you can break it down and help them get better? Please do not tell me you have a CRM for your sales process. That's a whole nother ball of wax. That's another problem. Well, I don't need to coach them on sales process, Kelly, because we have a CRM. Yikes, that could be a problem, right? So specific selling skills like sales process, doing discovery. Have you role-played discovery? Have you observed them in a sales call asking questions? Is it an interrogation, or are they actually involved in a dialogue, a give and take with the customer, and they're excavating their answers and getting more and more really powerful information? No, that's your job, to help them get better at that. Are you helping them reach decision makers, showing them how that works, what they need to do, how to come in at the C-suite level if that's necessary, at the managerial level if that's necessary? Are you teaching them specifically and working with them on how to sell value? No? I mean, you can't just say, listen, you need to learn to sell value. You need to sell our value, Mr. Salesperson. Ms. Salesperson, if you're not selling value, you're not going to be very successful. Guys, that's not coaching. It's not. That's back to one. These two things intersect. I can be directive, tell you what to do, and not actually show you, work with you, help you practice. Or I can talk in big, broad generalities and never get down to specific skills. If one or both of those things are present in the way you lead your salespeople, you're not coaching. And again, I want to go back to the numbers. When you become a successful, effective sales coach, when you can help people get better at what they do, number one, you'll never have problems getting a job. Number two, you'll find it a lot easier to get talent because A, players want to be coached and taught and developed. And number three, your results are going to improve, in many cases, very dramatically. Take a look at yourself. Take a look at your sales leaders. Are they actually coaching? This is Sales Untraining. I'll see you next time.
Sales Untraining is a production of Business Locker Room and Pod About It Productions. Music and editing by Doug Branson. To get more Kelly, visit bizlockerroom.com.